Welcome back, everybody. This is House Party 5v5. We got the Premier League Season 4 Week 2 coming at you swift and real fast in the style of a Rams Powerball. I'm Thunderdome.
And I'll be your play-by-play caster, Captain Flowers. Thunder, we've got a couple great teams lined up here for game number 3 of the day. Game number 1 for you and I. One of these teams we actually got to cast last week, Team 7, will be showing up over here on the red side. But the blue team, Space Age Wizards, you and I have yet to actually cast so far.
Well, that for this season at least. Last season, Space Age Wizards actually got first place in our Season 1 minor league tournament. They won their relegation match and are now in the Premier League, and I expect them to have a pretty dominant performance throughout the season, whoever they play against. This crew is solid.
So not only are we going to be setting early examples of what teams have to look like, what level teams have to play at in these games with game, they're also going to be setting the bar for teams that are going to be competing in the minor league, which does start up tomorrow. Make sure you don't miss that. Same time, same place, just a little bit of a different day. Going to be going live tomorrow for those games. But the winners of the minor league, they advance into the major league. And Space Age Wizards are the ones who have so far done that. This is going to be the tale of whether or not they can hang with the big dogs.
And we saw that in the previous game. Industrious Gaming actually beat White Lightning, the previous champions of the Premier League, and Industrious Gaming came in second in the minor league. So there's a pretty high standard of quality of play being set for the new minor league contestants as well as the ones currently in the Premier League. And a little bit about the picks and bans here, as we kind of glossed over at the time being. Talon being target against SW9876. He had a stellar performance on that champion last week, and they do not want to deal with his assassin capabilities.
Target bans coming out once again. Maokai, a ban, kind of a blast from the past. We saw him banned a lot in earlier seasons, earlier this season as well. He's sort of fallen out of favor recently in the top lane with all the juggernauts sort of taking over and becoming this huge phenomenon that everyone's now obsessed with. But he's proven time and again in competitive play to be a strong top lane pick. He's a champion that offers a lot of utility to his team. They don't want to deal with that. And speaking of utility, there's nothing quite as useful as an invisible jungler coming to gank your lanes. Evelyn, going to be the second ban here for Red Team.
She's such a powerful early game jungler, either through her deep warding control, because you can just sneak through the jungle. At that point in the game, nobody's got pink wards out. It will not reveal the invisible unit. That's Evelyn. You can place some deep wards, act as a human ward, or has a threat of a gank. You don't know where she is or when she's going to show up, so it forces the enemy team to have to play on the back foot. They play safe, or they just get that fear in the back of their mind slowly creeping in. If we aggress here, does Evelyn show up? Are we going to get punished?
Gangplank going to be locked in first for Space Age Wizards. Wizards and Pirates do collaborate every now and then, and Gangplank has been a powerful pick in solo queue, in professional play, and in what we've seen in the House Party 5v5 Premier League so far. Going to have to see if he lives up to that, or whether they'll finally sink his ship here.
Well, that's going to be on the back of Zorak. He does like to play those damage-oriented carry-style top laners, so we'll see if Team 7 decides to play the volatile lane and the damage carry, or they're going to play it safe, get a tanky one, and just see if they can keep down Overdose Panda. Having Darius and Lulu off the table, that takes a lot of tank and utility away from the top lane as well. So I expect to see a lot of focus on this early game.
Darius has actually reached the point now where it's just so ridiculous. He's crossed the threshold into the over 90% ban ratio despite the quote-unquote nerfs Riot's given him recently. Players across the spectrum are not only respecting this champion, they're downright sick of him. And it's more than expected for him to be banned almost every single game. Even in games like this, with all those target bans running rampant, it's something that you've got to respect. Echo and Braum, two really strong picks once again across the board, no matter what kind of play you're in. If you're in League of Legends, those are two guys that can bring something to the table that can make their team work and put the game on their back. Both going to be locked in for Team 7.
Tanky utility zone control champions. It just spells meta right now, and Team 7's picked those up. Space Age Wizards, however, the instant lock for Galzerin on Jarvan 4. I'm pretty excited to see that. His early jungle clear got nerfed a few patches back, earlier into the Season 5 of League of Legends. However, his damage is still absurd. If he even gets the slightest advantage, he will take that snowball and turn it into an avalanche.
Speaking of snowballs, Nunu being hovered on the side of Team 7, we saw Syria's Empress rock the Nunu pick last week, doing it very, very effectively, controlling the game from start to finish with that powerful early jungler, taking control of every objective, every buff, and the team play behind everyone on Team 7, working with that Nunu, making sure that they were there to back up the invades, that he didn't get punished for it, and he just ran rampant. I'm really looking forward to seeing if that's what they go for this game, not just to see the Nunu play again, but because it also means we're going to get to see a more exciting Echo in a solo lane.
Yeah, that means Echo's can either go on top or mid. He can go a bruiser AD damage, top lane tank, or he can go a burst mage in the mid lane. Could have been jungle, but now that Nunu's being locked in, as you stated before, we know Echo's solo lane, and there's just so much. I feel like I'm a broken record going back to this utility. But Team 7, they're playing this slowing zone control composition, where Zo is going to get to just rain down bullets upon people with Tristana.
One pick that we might see come out on the side of Space Age Wizards is a Yasuo. It's an incredibly powerful pick right now. It's something that has a pretty high ban rate for something that's not a juggernaut. It's really popular in pro play. You've been seeing it more and more in solo queue, and you've already got Jarvan and Alistar, two amazing knockups to facilitate Yasuo landing that last breath, getting in the middle of the fights, and getting that extra armor pen and damage that he wants from the ultimate. Now, the biggest problem, of course, that you would see in that is the fact that you'd then be rocking an all AD team comp. However, in the world of all AD team comps, Yasuo is one of the better champions to have simply because of that armor penetration, but they are not going to go with that this game, instead locking in Vayne and Vladimir, both with those trolley summoners, likely going to be changing those away, but very powerful picks in their own right.
Both bottom lanes go into a lot of comfort champions. Kuro Sekai is just such a strong Vayne player. He loves playing the champion, his mechanics are on point, and he can do some carry-style plays. And then if you look at the other side, CRS Mycroft loves to play Braum. He's extremely potent on this champion. He will get aggressive, they'll get the engage, or in terms of peeling, he will keep his carries safe. And Tristana having the jump is pretty safe as is. It's got great turret taking potential, but Vayne will outscale her in terms of damage and 1v1 scenarios in the late game.
I really like having Vayne with this Gangplank. I like having her on a team with Jarvan because Jarvan can create the crater that makes it so Vayne has more terrain to work around. Gangplank lays down those barrels and creates sort of a safe zone for Vayne to work around. We've talked before about how Vayne works really well in compositions that can control zones. Vayne works great with champions that prevent you from getting in certain areas that would allow you to take her down, simply because if she can manipulate her movement around those areas, it allows her to stay alive and deal out that massive hyper carry level of damage that only one or two other champions in the game could even hope to compete with. I'm looking forward to seeing how they synergize these champions this game, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they can pull off that hyper carry against all the damage that is still present on Team 7.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Kuro can kite it out, but he's going to have to be able to dodge the shock blast coming from Zorak on Jace. If Jace gets ahead of this lane matchup against Overdose Panda, it could swing heavily in the favor of Team 7. When a poke composition gets ahead, they are extremely oppressive in terms of objective taking and keeping the lanes controlled, and Tristana is a perfect AD carry to help that siege by her quick turret taking, as well as Nunu and Braum being there to cut off any types of flanks that Galzerin might try to engage with.
A lot more catch potential is available on Space Age Wizards this game. We see the Alistar, if he can manage to land that headbutt into Pulverize, which at this level, I'm assuming most Alistar players are able to land that rather reliably. Jarvan's got the Flag and Drag. You've got the Vayne Condemn as well. A lot of pick potential. Whereas on Team 7, you don't have that as much. The poke is powerful through the Jace. You've got a lot of disengage ability through Braum, through that Tristana, through that Nunu. But at the same time, although they do have strong CC in a way, you've got the Winter's Bite, you've got the Snowball, you've got Echo's Parallel Convergence. The problem with all of those is they're very conditional and they're not useful for a pick on their own. Winter's Bite requires multiple hits to activate it. The Snowball's not a hard CC. Parallel Convergence takes 9 years to actually take effect. It's going to be up to Team 7 to take these fights in a smart place and in a smart way so that they can use their zone control tools, so that they can use their setup style CC and allow Tristana and Jace to bang away at these Space Age Wizards.
And another comment to add on to what you were saying about Team 7 needs time and they need setup and they need positioning. Space Age Wizards has a lot more explosive initiates. Boom, Alistar's there. Flag and drag, all of a sudden Jarvan's on top of you, and then maybe a barrel or two connecting in. Theirs is a lot quicker for the initiate, where Team 7's going to want to drag it out and kite you around. And because Gangplank and Vladimir are very close range, Team 7 might have a slight advantage due to that. But if Space Age Wizards blows up a key member on Team 7, they do lack damage in their composition with one of those people down.
An interesting matchup it is going to be with Gangplank and Jace, likely to be in the mid lane. It's a very difficult matchup for Gangplank, not because Jace specifically counters Gangplank, not because Jace was designed to beat Gangplank, simply because Gangplank struggles against any champion in lane who has an attack range greater than melee, because they kill his barrels. Gangplank's also going to have a more difficult time in the mid lane. If this is mid lane Gangplank, we're going off just what we see through the summoner spells here. He's going to have a more difficult time because he can't hide the barrels in the brushes in order to detonate the chain detonation nice and early. We're going to have to see how he plays that out, but we're going to jump into a break right now. We're about to enter the loading screen, and when we get back, it's going to be Space Age Wizards versus Team 7. Stay right there. You're not going to want to miss it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody chilling in the Twitch chat right now, welcome to House Party 5v5 Season 4's Premier League. This is week number 2, game number 3. We're live now with the Space Age Wizards here in the blue versus Team 7 in the red. I will be your play-by-play caster, Captain Flowers.
I'll be your color caster, Thunderdome.
Here today on the Space Age Wizards, we've got Kurosekai on the Vayne, going to be looking to kite everybody around. Tyser on the Alistar, keeping everybody alive, going for those engages. Galzerin on Jarvan, looking for those same sort of initiations, looking for that burst. Deadbeat V2, going to be making everybody else live up to his own name, blowing people up with those barrels. And Overdose Panda on the Vladimir, going to be providing the AoE and the damage.
In the top lane, we got Zorak on the time-bending boy who should not have been, but he made it, and he's here today. In the jungle, we got Ciri the Empress on Nunu, gonna add some control style to the game in the early game. In the mid lane, we got SW9876 on Jace, shooting them shock blasts from afar. At 80 carry, we've got Zoe on Tristana, the Bandle Gunner. And in support, last but not least, CRS Mycroft on The Heart is the Strongest Muscle.
All right, so this game, as we talked about in the lobby, is going to come down to the pick power of the Space Age Wizards versus this huge zone control ability, this poking strength that's going to come out from Team 7. Space Age Wizards are also going to have a little bit of a tough time in the laning phase. Like we stated, Gangplank mid versus Jace is not a fight that works out well for Gangplank. His barrels are going to be shot to hell by Jace. And then in the bot lane, Vayne is going to struggle early against a Braum into Tristana combination. It's not something that Vayne's weak early laning phase is going to be able to contest well. We're going to have to see if the Wizards can get away from the early game without being in too bad of a condition.
It's going to be on the back of Tyser on Alistar to see if he can disengage that fight before it gets too bad for Kurosekai. If he does get behind on Vayne, he will have trouble dealing with the mid-game power that Tristana brings to the team in terms of objective control. I expect to see maybe a gank bottom early, or possibly a camp on top lane.
Vladimir in the top lane, going to be starting with that double jungle strategy, working with Galzerin, giving himself that amplifying tome start with extra potions. His opponent, Zorak, not going to do anything of the sort. Happy to just go into lane with that flask. Should he encounter an early gank or a bad early trade, be able to come back to lane and not miss anything. We'll have to see if Vlad can make use of that early extra power spike through that jungle.
Well, he missed a lot of CS, so that was really nicely played by Zorak to deny him that by shoving it under the turret. Although Overdose Panda does come out on top in terms of experience. As you see, he just hit level 3 before Zorak has. But it does make up for the weakness of Jarvan 4 in the jungle. They took down his armor, so he takes significantly more damage from the camps and therefore has less early pressure in terms of gank potential.
Alistar and Vayne being pressured bot side just like we anticipated. In the mid lane though, Gangplank actually doing a good job maintaining CS against this Jace. Jace delivers some poke, but Deadbeat V2 doing a good job making sure that he's prioritizing those minions. That's what Gangplank's early game is all about. You're not looking to win trades. You're not looking to shove the other guy out of the lane. That's not the name of the game. It's all about the farm. Alistar flashing forward. He's going to be able to look for the headbutt, but a wonderful flash from Braum gets him to safety. The headbutt going to knock him the wrong direction. Galzerin shows up bot lane, but it's not going to be for anything. He's forced to just walk away, go back to the farm.
There's that early gank I expected, however, extremely well played on the side of Mycroft to know he's going to flash after Alistar gets into headbutt range, pushes him to safety, and the jungler on the side of Space Age Wizards gets nothing for his efforts.
Headbutt pulverized onto this bot lane of Team 7. It's going to be Vayne under a lot of pressure. The Winter's Bite has been dropped. Exhaust is there. Rocket jump in. Heal has been popped. The flash is there. One more flash from Tristana will not be able to secure it. The auto attack not within range, and Jarvan is still there. Winter's Bite is down to Alistar, but that's not who they wanted on Braum. In a lot of danger. The Flag and Drag is there. First blood goes over to Kurosekai. That's going to be Space Age Wizards finding their way onto the board at the 4.5-minute mark.
That's exactly what Space Age Wizards needs to get Kurosekai rolling and tumbling on Vayne. The early kill, the early CS advantage, and Zoe is gonna have to sit back and play extremely defensively for the rest of the laning phase just due to that small advantage they've gained in under 5 minutes.
That flash had to be heartbreaking for Zhao. Vayne did a good job making sure that she was able to jump away across that terrain, that extra fat terrain there right on the edge of the river into the bot lane, something that can cause a lot of fail flashes sometimes, just like what happened with Tristana's. She wasn't able to get the full distance. She ended up blocking herself off. The final auto couldn't be secured, and it turns the trade around and makes it so CRS Mycroft has to lay down his life as the sacrificial lamb to keep his AD carry still alive. Well played on the side of Space Age Wizards.
Absolutely. However, they know that Space Age Wizards has just backed Team 7, taking advantage of the back timers, and is going to get that early dragon. They're going to have a little bit more damage to make up for the item deficiency they're finding themselves at in the bottom lane. Excellent jungle pressure from Ciri the Empress to have these early objectives under their team's belt.
This is exactly what you want to see if you're going to pick an early control jungler like Nunu. So many times in these matches, we see teams neglect the first dragon. We see teams not end up actually getting that first dragon until 14, 15 minutes into the game sometimes. And that's okay in some team compositions. In some team compositions, you're not worried about that. You might not have the early pressure to make it work. There might be a lane swap. But if you're running a Nunu, if you're running something that needs to win the early game to scale and be useful, that's what you need to do. And this is Ciri the Empress and the rest of Team 7, again, knowing what that pick does and playing with it so well.
SW has got these barrel timings on lock. He's doing it like it's his dang job. He's getting every single one of these, and he's not allowing Deadbeat V2 to poke him down whatsoever.
Even if the barrels don't end up happening instantly, it's the flag and drag onto Jarvan. He's going to find the golden Aegis, but Jarvan just going to walk away from that one ever so casually. SW not even worried about the damage coming out from the Prince. Braum and Tristana, they're going to be knocked up into the air, but the shield is going to block a lot of that damage, and Silver Bolts will manage to proc onto that Masked Wrestler. But it's going to be Vayne and Alistar having to walk away. The trade doesn't really result in a whole lot either way. These supports so tanky, neither one really going to take a whole lot of damage.
Oh, and there's a level 5 for Kurosekai. Tycer is a level up on Mycroft, so he's going to be able to get that extra point into his abilities. He puts it into Pulverize, so less cooldown equals more knockups. And that's going to give Kurosekai a little bit more confidence to go into these trades aggressively, if they choose to opt for them.
Is doing a good job of maintaining a solid CS level. We've seen a lot of times players will pick the Vayne early, they'll end up falling behind him some CS. Even if they grab a couple kills, they can sometimes come out of lane down 30, 40 CS against their opponent, and it just ends up really setting back their mid-game build, making it so they don't hit that power spike as quick as they could. Jarvan and Jace getting into the 1v1 here in the river. Jarvan's going to be careful about this when the Power Blast connects. Jarvan's going to be able to get himself away with that flag and drag, with the damage from Jace ever so real.
And something we've neglected is his top lane. A CS advantage to Overdose Panda on top of Zorak. He's able to out-sustain Echo, even though Echo does technically on paper have the better wave clear and the duration trades.
2v2 here in the bot side. It's going to be Braum knocked into the air, the headbutt backwards. He's going to tank one turret shot, but only one. Tristana still looking for those auto attacks onto Kurosekai, going very deep under the turret. That's not what you need to do. He's going to end up going down. Kurosekai grabs his second kill of the game as Zhao makes his second misplay in the same fashion. That's got to be a heartbreaker. Once again, one auto attack away, but jumping in with a rocket jump like that on Tristana, always risky.
Especially when you use the Buster Shot when you think your auto is going to kill him. That was way too overzealous on his part. They had the other team's bottom lane on the back foot. Just accept it, use Tristana, push the tower. You don't have to be greedy to get the kill. You're already behind, and you're just making it even harder on yourself by taking that aggressive move that is unlikely to pay out.
2v1 in the top side. Flag going to be ganked, but the Hemoplague drop down onto Echo is going to lead him into running away. The Gangplank ultimate comes down, and that's going to supply the kill. Zorak drops to Overdose Panda. The Hemoplague enough to detonate him with the help of that Gangplank ulti. It's going to be Deadbeat V2 into the 1v1 here against SW in the mid lane. Jace putting all the damage onto him. The Ignite is enough. He brings him down. The GP Ignite not going to be enough to be able to get him away from that fight victorious. That's the power of Jace. You've got to respect that hypercharge once he manages to get it all off.
Yeah, a great ultimate top lane from Deadbeat, but he should have realized he has a power disadvantage after he's used his ultimate. SW takes that Q, gets aggressive, gets rewarded for it. He's picked up a pickaxe. From the shutdown gold. He now has Tear of the Goddess stacking up, albeit it's pretty slow. But he's got a pretty significant advantage right now, and with Team 7's bottom lane also winning, that's going to open the door to early roams from Tristana to start taking these turrets. Nunu has got the early jungle control through the neutral objectives, and Team 7's looking pretty solid at this point, even though they're down in kills and gold. They are going to start to have this map pressure, which they sorely need.
Jarvan into the bot lane. It's flag and drag down onto Braum. Tristana gets away with the rocket jump. Definitely going to use it defensively this time. 3v2. They're going to have to walk away from that one, not finding anything, not even a summoner for Jarvan's trouble.
To counteract the fact that Team 7 would like to have a lot of map pressure, they're going to have a tough time getting through Overdose Pan on the top lane. Vlad is pretty solid at wave clearing, as well as not leaving the lane if he doesn't want to. Through the not Hemoplague, that's his ultimate, sorry, for the Transfusion and Tides of Blood, he's able to sustain up and keep the lane where he wants it. Sekai solo pushing the turret in the bottom lane, not as powerful as Tristana, but they are doing some work on that turret as well.
Galzarin sitting in that bot lane brush for so long before he recalls. He wants to make sure that if Team 7 makes a counter gank, he's going to be there to make it a fair fight. He believes that he and his team can manage to win that fight. They do have the gold advantage. Two of their team's 3 kills are on this Vayne, so they want to be able to pressure that advantage, get her as far ahead as they possibly can. But he's really doing a lot to make sure that she comes out of this early game phase able to carry Gangplank and Jace in the 1v1 mid, but not going to turn into anything. Gangplank finally detonates a barrel, but it's going to be on nothing but a creep.
In the CS differential in the jungle is something we haven't talked about yet. Ciri the Empress is up about 10 CS over Galzarin, just putting Nunu to work, making that champion's power really work for the team. Base Age Wizards going for the dragon. They're gonna get it. No one on Team 7 is in range.
Team 7 not doing what they need to do to control that early objective. The Nunu does not pay off this time. Good heads-up play coming from Space Age Wizards, knowing they can take that away and not have to worry about the Nunu, the 1v1 in the top side. It's Vlad versus Echo. Echo dropping down to about a half, but he's still got the chrono break, so Vlad's got to be very aware of that. Echo going to be able to walk away for the time being, but Vlad positioning aggressively. He wants to be able to go for this. Tides of Blood into Transfusion is going to be able to do something. Chrono break has already been popped. There's the Sanguine Pool. He's going to slowly bleed out on that one, and Vlad just walks away in style, doesn't even turn around to look at him. He knows Hemoplague's going to do the job. 4-1.
Cool guys don't look at explosions of blood, and Overdose Panda is one of those. Getting the easy solo dive onto Zorak. With the information that Team 7 just took Dragon, they had to have had at least 3, if not 4, of their members down there.
Jarvan under a lot of pressure from Jace and Nunu here in the mid lane. The Chilling Smite is down the flashboard from Jace. The Ignite has been dropped, and Jarvan's going to burn away. The Gangplank ulti doing what it can to hold this red team at bay. Vlad with the teleport in, but he's not going to be able to find anything. It's one of the biggest weaknesses of Vladimir. You have no CC to actually contribute to these things. You got Sanguine Pool, but that's an escape mechanism. Gangplank and Vlad going to be looking to push this one up. Jace going to connect that Shock Blast. Nunu wants to do something, but with an empty mana bar, there's not a lot you can do. Team 7 going to be forced to just clear waves, walk away, and hopefully heal up after that one.
That was honestly a wasted teleport. You hate to see it. And here's going to be probably a way more effective one from Zorak.
Winter's Bite comes down. There's the parallel convergence. They're going for the Alistar, but that's a very tanky cow. Beef's not exactly going to be on the menu tonight. It's headbutt into Pulverize just for good measure as the blue team fends this one off nice and easy. Space Age Wizards will not be collapsed upon so easily.
Great disengage on their side there. However, Zorak made the smart move. Space Age Wizards pushed up to the turret. They had the ward behind them. You get the teleport flank, you start getting the lane control. However, they couldn't translate that to kills. Or objectives, for that matter.
Speaking of kills versus objectives, we can see that neither one of these junglers, despite having a lot of early game potential, arguably Nunu's potential isn't always in the gank department, but still, neither one of them having a lot of kill participation. Nunu's been involved in one of the 2 kills on his team. Jarvan's been involved in one of the 4 kills on his team. But neither of these junglers is really showing up and dictating the flow of this game so far. It's been relatively passive, except for the overcommit from Tristana in the bot lane.
Oh, and she stops Tycer's back.
She grabs a little bit of pot shots on him, but she's not going to be able to do a whole lot else. Tristana not in a position to be able to reduce that health from 100 to 0, especially with that Unbreakable Will still available to him. So Tycer just going to be inconvenienced more than anything else on that one.
Speaking of inconvenience, Sorakin's top lane is getting bullied left and right. He is down 40-some CS to Overdose Panda. Turret is going to be going down soon, and that's going to open up a ton of this map for Space Age Wizards. They've already taken the bottom tier 1 turret.
The nice part, the redeeming part about this for Team 7 is the fact that that top lane matchup, we'll get back to it in just a second, because Headbutt Pulverize onto Braum and Nunu is the start of a team fight down bot. It's Jarvan with the flag and drag into the middle of 3. Tristana trying to drop that explosive shot, but the Crater has them all in the middle of a very bad place. Nunu going to be trailing that absolute zero. It's CRS Mycroft going to be the first to drop. Jarvan, Nunu trying to peel away. It's going to be Kurosekai. He goes down next. The Buster Shot manages to take down another. It's a 2-for-1. It's Jace versus Gangplank in the river. Jace has got the bead drawn on Gangplank, and that is going to be a killing spree for SW. Alistar running away. The explosive shot has been dropped. Nunu has to be careful here. Headbutt Pulverize can kill you, and it's going to. That's a cow slap to the face. He tries to get away, but there is no heaven if you're made of beef. Tristana wants a burger, and Alistar's the closest thing she's going to be able to find. Explosive shot is off. Flash is off. She wants to make sure he's not getting away. Zhao has slain Tyser, and the game is all tied up 6-6.
It was a 4-for-0. Well, 4-for-1, excuse me, for Team 7, and they're right back in this game. Didn't get to translate that to any objectives except some damage on the mid turret where SW is currently... Oh! The turret was lower than I expected. I lied to you completely. So sorry about that. So, the fight, the 4-man kills, does get translated to the mid turret, and a lot of gold in the pocket for Zhao, who is desperately needing it. He's behind in lane in CS.
A 1v1 top side, it's Vladimir and Jace. Echo going to show up to see what he can contribute to this, but the Hemo Plague has been dropped. Vlad wants to find the damage on him. The Chrono Break is down. Transfusion will be there, and Hemo Plague is going to be able to detonate that one, but Overdose Panda might have dosed a little too hard on this one. It's Jace going to be able to secure that kill. A shutdown goes over to SW. That's going to be his 4th kill of the game. 4-0-0 on this guy. He's showing up huge, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with this poke damage.
Man, they're only 600 gold down now. And, oh, they're about to catch out this mid turret who is nobody defending it.
Space Age Wizards finding the rotation. Team 7 not able to get there in time. Nunu's the only one here, and he's going to be forced to watch on with a tear in his eye as mid turret falls. That's going to be the second one of the game for the Space Age Wizards.
And when we're on the topic of tiers, SW's tier is only about halfway stacked right now. He has 4 kills and is going to become highly oppressive, I do believe, this mid-game if they're able to get into these siege scenarios where he's able to poke them down with the shock blast. Tristana can hit the turrets with the explosive shot. They do have the mid turret, so that opens up a lot of the map for pressuring and ward control, which Nunu is going to excel at. However, see, the Empress does not have Sightstone, and Galzerin does. Space Age Wizards has got the extra vision control to help them out in these rotations to pick the smart fights. We're going to see how they play it out when this dragon comes up.
Dragon number 3 is up and running, and neither team is willing to give it away without a fight. It's going to be the Wizards taking up the closest position to it, but Team 7 has the potential to flank. They've got Echo into the backdrop. A good parallel convergence is a team fight on its own, and the Wizards have got to be careful to not fall into that trap. Alistar going to be able to keep the entire team nice and healthy as Team 7 looks for their potential to collapse.
They're trying to clear out that pink ward. Having the ward in the Dragon Pit is going to be key. But keeping the vision off of it so SW can't poke
Wizards
in.
go in. There's the Gangplank ultimate. Braum trying to disengage as hard as he can. Glacial Fissure is down. It's parallel convergence, but it only hits Alistar. Echo stunned up against the wall. Vayne looking to bring him down. Immediately the Hemoplague dropped onto 3. It's Tristana running and gunning. Vladimir's going to be able to drop that zone. He's Kurosekai taking down Braum for the kill number 1. It's going to be Tristana going down kill number 2. Double kill onto Vayne. Another kill going to be served up. Yeti boys, that's going to be a triple kill. Kurosekai takes over the team fight, and that's going to be Space Age Wizards picking up Dragon number 2.
A beautiful move from Tyser, headbutting Echo right out of parallel convergence. Oh, SW's
1v1
got him.
Jason Gangplank. SW shows up and picks up the kill onto the Pirate, but he's going to pay for it with his life. That is absolutely not what you want to see from your 5-0. Ended up giving up that shutdown just to acquire another kill on a Gangplank that was already 0-2. Good eye on him seeing the pick, but even better on Space Age Wizards, realizing they could get the return kill. A 1-for-1 on their most fed champion is okay in any book.
Especially when Kurosekai's the one getting that shutdown go. Look at Vayne's itemization right now. He's got Phantom Dancer. He already had Blade of the Ruin King and the Berserker Greaves. that Phantom Dancer is going to be disgusting right now. There's not even an armor item built. Well, okay, we've got the Warden's Mail on Nunu, but that's it in terms of armor for Team 7. Kurosekai is going to be able to shred through them. With Tyser on the professional style peels, they're going to be very hard to get to him. Deadbeat's setting up great zone control, even though he does not have as much damage as I'd like him to. He is a Gangplank with Trinity Force and Lucidity boots, and the barrels will put some pressure on the other team.
I really, really like Alistar's itemization choice. He's going for the Righteous Glory. He's the one champion on his team that can really build that item successfully. You could argue that Jarvan can build it, but Jarvan doesn't like to build that item. He's got enough engage on his own, it just doesn't really work that well. But the item is perfect for what they're trying to do. You're up against a Fed Jace. The way you lose versus Fed Jace 101 League of Legends is to sit there and let him poke you. They want to go in, they want to win these fights immediately as Jace hits Gangplank with one of those empowered shock blasts and shows exactly why you can't let him poke the Gangplank. Oh, has been dropped, the teleport's coming in. It's gonna be the fight. It's Jarvan with the Flag and Dragon Tristana in a lot of danger. Absolute Zero being the channel in the middle of everyone. But CRS Mycroft going to drop immediately once again. The Hebo Blade is down. Vayne, one more shot on the Nunu, but Parallel Convergence is going to scare her away. It's a 1 for 0 so far. Space Age Wizards shows up again.
And they get the turret in the top lane from the minion push they had previously set up. There's a large wave building for Space Age Wizards in the bot as well. This spells objective. They win the team fight. The rest of Team 7 is low. Space Age Wizards looking to make the rotation.
Vladimir and Jace getting into a little bit of a poke war. But Space Age Wizards, even though they only got the turret thanks to the minions, that's still getting a turret. That's what they've got to do. We've talked about it in every other game, and I'm going to bring it up again in this one because it's the core of League of Legends organized play. Kills are not how you win this game. Getting kills and translating that into turrets, into dragons, into barons, into other greater macro objectives is how you win League of Legends. And so far, Space Age Wizards has been able to find those objectives.
And they're looking pretty solid, sitting 6k up from these objectives as well. They've got a lot of items completed. Zanya's Hourglass, Will of the Ancients on Overdose Panda. He's going to be a tough guy to kill. As well as Galzarin's got... He's building his items up, not the greatest in terms of solo power, but when you combine the Juggernaut Enchantment with Sightstone and Ninja Tabi, when he dives in, he's tanky enough that you're not going to be able to one-shot him, and through his damage and crowd control built into his kit, he's definitely somebody you can't just let sit there and hit you.
I really like tankier control utility style build onto Jarvan. You can build him 100 different ways. You can go with a pure tank, you can go with a bruiser, you can go with an assassin, you can do anything on him. But in a composition like what we're seeing from the Wizards, where you've got the hyper carry on Vayne and you've got 2 more carries on Gangplank and Vlad, you're not hurting for damage. It's not going to matter if Jarvan's got a warrior enchantment because you're already going to have more than enough power to bring down whoever it is you're targeting as long as you can trust your teammates to do that. It shows that Jarvan's got the trust in his team to lay down the damage. He's going to be the one initiating, saying, I'll soak for it. You guys clean up the mess. Gangplank going to be in a little bit of trouble here, dropping the ultimate defensively. The Flag and Drag into the middle of everyone, and this is Jarvan's defensive ability. Jace and Nunu trying to turn this one around, and Jarvan might have to bite the bullet for his ally here, and he will. The noble sacrifice. Gangplank walks away, but Space Age Wizards loses their jungler.
You hate to see them get caught out. They did not have the vision control to be pushing up that far in lane without a turret at their back to fall back to, and they get punished for it. They get caught out, and they have to use Galzarin's ultimate, the Cataclysm, just so Gangplank can walk out of there. But
Space
SW
Age
is
Wizards slowing up, showing a little bit of weakness in the ability to have everybody rotating. So far, they've been really on point, except for what we saw right there. Now they've got everybody grouped up again. They've got Vlad with that split push. Echo still trying to respond to him. We can see Echo starting to build a little bit more defensively. Still obviously going for AP items. The pieces of an Hourglass, one of the pieces of that Abyssal Scepter being shown here. But a good choice by him to not keep going for just raw AP damage. He's not going for Rabadons. He's not going for Ludens. He wants to make sure that since he's behind, he's got a little bit more survivability while still contributing to the damage factor. Kurosekai going to take down the 4th turret of the game.
And right now, Team 7 sees Galzarin in the bottom lane clearing out those minions, but they're not in any position to start a fight because Overdose Panda's keeping Zorak consistently pushed into his turret. He's forced to sit there and clear while his team just isn't able to execute their poke siege composition like they'd want to. because of the split push Overdose Panda is putting down.
The collapse onto the Panda is going to be real. This is why he's an endangered species, Thunder. He's trying to do what he can to use that segment pool to get away. And you've got everybody rotating up. That's the definition of a goon squad, and SW takes the credit for that one. But at
the end of the
trade
day
is going to be there for the turret, but it's going to be Team 7 going for Baron. This is going to be an inhibitor trade for a Baron play, and we're going to see how exactly they manage to take down the inhibitor if they could potentially get a Nexus turret. It looks like, though, Team 7 is going to be clearing this one out nice and quick. Nunu secures that through the GP ulti, but they will lose the inhibitor for it. It looks like Space Age Wizards is going to be able to take this one and get away safely.
Yeah, but Deadbeat casting that ultimate there, although he did not get Baron, is stopping their backs because the Baron empowered recall is only 4 seconds. Plus a home guard on a few of their members means Space Age Wizard has to get out of there super quickly. But that bait by Overdose Panda translates into the bottom inhibitor, which is not a bad one to have, especially with Dragon on the table here.
Dragon showing up. The Wizards want to try to be able to play for this one, but they're up against a Baron up Team 7. It's going to be the red team taking credit for that one. Dragon's all tied up 2-2, and Team 7 make a fight happen here. They've got full health bars. They've got Baron buff. This is their chance to make something happen.
And arguably, you could say Team 7 benefits more from Baron than having the downed inhibitor because they want a siege. Baron will allow them to start controlling these waves, especially with that bottom turret being taken right now. Echo will have an easier time clearing the minions. He'll be able to teleport in if they need him for a team fight. And Jace can start using his 7 kills power to start poking these guys down. We've already seen him chunk out the members of Space Age Wizards.
The Space Age Wizards really only have the one tank in Jarvan. He's the main tank. Alistar looks tanky just because he's got a lot of health, but unless his ultimate's on, he's got very little resist, so he's pretty squishy. And with a triple carry comp, those shock blasts are going to inflict severe damage on whoever they connect with.
Yeah, they really need Alistar to get tanky really quick so he can stand in front of a couple of these blasts and protect his carries. And look at that, Galzerin, the main tank on their team, still taking a pretty decent chunk of damage from it as well. They're not going to be able to last very long with the Baron minions pouring in.
Baron already half out, though, and Team 7 yet to actually make a coherent play with it. They need to try to at least secure one of these turrets. They've still actually got the outer turret standing in top lane for the Space Age Wizards. Pretty much free money when you've got the Baron buff. They need to group up, they need to rotate somewhere and attempt to take something. Use this Jace, use this poke potential, and secure an objective while they've still got the chance.
Well, the normal minions are no match for super minions, especially when they're not Baron empowered. Now, Zorak is there to start clearing them out, but a great trade for Space Age Wizards if you want to look at it from their perspective, because Team 7 has already used 3/4 of the Baron, and they haven't even gotten to one siege position.
Well played by the Space Age Wizards, maintaining a strong defensive stance, making it so Team 7 can't utilize this buff well. They've made it so that the Baron didn't actually result in any objectives. It didn't result in the gold gap being closed indirectly. Directly, of course, it resulted in that because you get so much money just for killing Baron. The gold gap is about 4,000. It was at least 5,000 before. But Space Age Wizards did not allow that to bleed into any further of a catch-up for Team 7.
And even though Overdose Panda had to spill some blood for that inhibitor, ends up being worth it at the end of the day. Baron is now gone off of Team 7. Overdose Panda yet again in that top lane. Always split pushing. In the bottom lane, Zorak still dealing with the inhibitor that has been downed. It lasts longer than Baron, therefore more effective in the long run.
Triple threat coming out for Space Age Wizards. They're pushing 2 lanes. They're automatically pushing the 3rd thanks to those super minions. And it's going to be 5 men strong into this top lane looking to secure the final 2nd tier turret against Team 7.
And they've got a composition that does not have as much wave clear unless Gangplank's able to put the barrels down, so this could be quite difficult for them. They're going to really have to watch their positioning. Oh, there, exactly what I was talking about. SW just starts annihilating them with the Shock Blast.
Kurosekai down to about half HP, gonna have to be very careful to keep himself alive. He is the Jace of his team, whereas Team 7 is going to be relying on SW to carry them to be able to soften up this Wizards team before the engage actually happens. It's going to be on Kurosekai to take the Wizards all the way, to make it so that they can find the damage in the team fights to end up winning. If either of those 2 champions dies early in a fight, or dies as the initiation to the fight starts, it's going to be disastrous for their team. They're just going to have to disengage as quickly as they can and cut their losses.
And you're seeing it's extremely hard to crack the base when you don't have a great source of wave clear. So they lack in the siege. Space Age Wizard's going to start setting up for some kind of bush bait or a catch, because they know in a full 5v5 they can't win the siege. Team 7 has got to get vision control of their jungle to not fall prey to one of these little, well, cheeses at the end of the day.
SW doing a very good job wisely waiting for that shock blast cooldown and using it to attack every single brush they move up through, but it's going to be serious. Empress potentially in a lot of trouble here. The Flag and Drag is out, the Flash is there, but the Cataclysm is going to be able to find him. The Gangplank Barrel is down, that's going to explode, but it doesn't do a whole lot. That's a very tanky Yeti to have to deal with, but when you got 3 guys on you, it's still going to hurt a lot. The barrel explodes, one more hit's going to do it. The Tides of Blood, Overdose Panda brings down the Yeti.
Alright, and now they've got the man up. The naked inhibitor. Let's see if Space Age Wizards can push it in and take it. However, they're gonna have to watch out for this poke. Galzarin leading the charge.
This is a 5v4 for the next 20 seconds. They don't have absolute zero to create that zone of protection for Jace, and that's going to be Space Age Wizards taking Inhibitor down again in the bot lane and walking away safe. Winter's Bite will connect onto Vlad in the walkway, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do a whole lot with it. So much damage coming out through that transfusion, through that Tides of Blood, as SW forced to walk away. And Team 7 needs to reevaluate how to get themselves back into this game.
It's going to be quite difficult for them with Baron coming up in about 50 seconds. Having the bottom inhibitor is the strongest inhibitor in the game to have when you want to contest Baron. It's the farthest away on the map. You have to either commit your teleport as a resource to clear that wave, therefore they're almost guaranteed to show up to the fight late, or they have to blow the teleport early, in which the other team can just disengage. So for Space Age Wizards, they have so much map control and a choice of their objectives they want to take. They can start a Baron dance, they can go for the top lane turret, they can try to make a 5v4 fight if they'd like to.
This Dragon going to be very important for whichever side gets it. This is Dragon number 3. That's the movement speed bonus. And in this game, that's going to matter a lot. Jarvan fights the initiation onto SW, and Kuro Sekai. It's the kill that the Wizards were looking for. That's the one that Team 7 cannot afford to lose, but they lost him. That's Dragon number 3. Surely going to be coming up for the Wizards.
Deadbeat's already starting it up down there, solo style, while the rest of his team is zoning him off. Team 7 very wary to face check into this Dragon area, so they're going to collapse Overdose Panda in the mid lane.
Overdose Panda doing a good job of creating that split push threat. He's going to go in. Single Cool dropped incredibly early, but he's still got the zone. He dropped the Hemoplague. He's going to be able to try to get himself out, but he's not going to survive in time to pop the Hourglass. It's the rest of the Space Age Wizards trying to find the damage, but the Absolute Zero gets channeled, and Team 7 be able to turn something around here. It's a double kill over onto the Echo. Zorak showing up. Kuro Sekai now going to go down a triple kill over to Zorak, and the ace comes up for Team 7. Very, very well played and overcommit from Space Age Wizards. Vlad can't get the Zonias off, and it spells out disaster.
He should have just maybe tried Zonias before he dropped the Hemoplague. Just buy a few more precious seconds for your team to show up. By the time he dropped Hemoplague, he was blown up, completely chained, crowd controlled, and was not able to do any damage after it. And then his team shows up. He couldn't get the Zonias down. This could be a Baron going over to the Team 7. Siri, the Empress, and SW are already cutting it down.
Thunder, I don't think I can handle another 66-minute game, and with the way this one's looking, it could very well be that. Both these teams continually back and forth, continually showing up and finding openings to show that they're not willing to surrender. Red team secures the Baron at 33-33, and they're not out of this game quite yet, but it's Alistar into the pit. The game like ultimate has been dropped. Flag and Drag is there, and Jarvan gets himself some Yeti on a stick.
I call it shish kebab. Well, shish ganunu, I guess.
Shish Nunu fresh off the plate for your enjoyment. Gonna be charging you $4.99 for that one, but for Jarvan it's free. He's going to be picking up his second kill of the game, something that he's going to be able to turn that gold into more and more tankiness to allow his team to close the distance and just take down this Jason Tristana.
I really love the Dead Man's Plate. Pure armor and pure health, it's one of the best items for your money. Added into that passive/active effect, you get the speed buff, and then when you land the damage of an auto attack or one of your abilities, you get the extra slow. It's such a great gap close item for somebody who wants to be tanky like Jarvan and jump into the back lines.
Team 7, despite grabbing the Baron, they're still under siege for the time being due to losing one of their teammates. Kurosekai, still full HP, but Vladimir, very, very low. Overdose Panda has to be careful. He's very, very strong, but he's not very tanky. And these shock blasts are proving that time and again. SW doing his role for his team. When you get kills on a person, they've got to be able to do their job, and Jason's doing just that. The Righteous Glory has been popped. Kurosekai wants to find that damage onto Tristana. Jarvan with the Flag and Drag is going to be the Cataclysm as they find the damage onto Zhao. But Kurosekai's in a lot of trouble, and they take him down. It's Zorak grabbing another kill. It's going to be Jarvan. He's in a lot of trouble. It's Chase on top of that. Zhonya's Vlad. He's a pretty golden statue, but he's not going to stay pretty for long. That's going to be a triple kill. Going over to Zorak, a 3-for-1. Zhao's going to be okay with that one. Team 7's going to be okay with that one. And Space Age Wizards is pretty far from okay with that one.
At least Space Age Wizards has got the super minions in the bottom lane going for them, but they can't keep losing team fights and overcommitting like that. They're allowing Team 7 back into the game. They're down 100 gold. Team 7 has come back from a 5,000 gold deficit. They've got their items, they're starting to scale, and with this Baron, they're going to be able to start translating these into objectives. Muramana's done. You've got Face the Mountain, Locket Solari. Echo's got the Holy Trinity of Echo. He's got Zhonya's, he's got Abyssal, and he's got a little bit of cooldown reduction as well. He's going to be pretty tanky. He's got essentially 2 resets on his positioning. He can Zhonya's for safety, or he can pop back or forward for that matter with the time. And it's just so much more power in Team 7 right now that Space Age Wizards is yet to respect with their over-aggressive takes on these fights, and they're getting punished time and again.
The Wizards cast out their net in their own jungle, looking to catch someone on the retreat, but they come up empty. That's not exactly what they were looking for. They've got to try to capitalize on this Team 7 because they haven't been able to win these 5v5 fights. They've been overcommitting, they've been mispositioning. The fights just haven't been going their way due to smaller misplays and just better play overall from Team 7. Zorak started off this game very poorly. He was 0-3 at one point, and now he's 6-4. He's gone 6-1 since that opening. He's really turned up this game. He's really made up for what he did. He's redeemed himself completely, and he's now in a position to be a huge threat for the rest of this game.
As well as Siri the Empress is going to keep getting tankier and tankier, just buying even more time for Zhao to start blowing these people up, especially with the Blood Boil. In late game, it lets her not have to itemize another attack speed item and can just go full AD, where Vayne, on the other hand, wants to get as many of those auto attacks in as she can. Granted, Zoe does want to get as many auto attacks in as she can, but having that extra just flat AD means that when she gets that burst explosion, it's more likely to get a reset and continue the fight in their favor.
40 seconds until the dragon spawns. If this gets taken by the Wizards, that's going to be dragon number 4. That then puts Team 7 on a clock for the aspect win condition coming under the control of the Wizards. Team 7 wants this one. Having that move speed bonus is really big when you're trying to poke back and kite, and Frog's going to find a way to fight. That fight explodes. It's Jarvan into the middle of everyone. It's absolute zero drop. It's Teemo Plague drop. It's Overdose Panda taking down SW. It's the Chrono Break that comes out. Kurosekai slays Mycroft. It's Jarvan taking a lot of damage from the Nunu and the Tristana. It's everybody dropping so quickly. It's Zhao takes down Overdose Panda. Alistar in the middle. The shutdown goes on to Echo. It's Nunu, the last one alive on the Team 7. It's Gangplank and Kurosekai in hot pursuit. Deadbeat V2. He grabs a double kill. That's an ace for 3. And that is the Space Age Wizards casting some crazy kind of voodoo over Team 7.
That was absolutely absurd. They didn't check the bush with SW on Chase. Why didn't they throw the shock blast in? Okay, so they're gonna send their tank in first. That's actually probably one of the safest bets, but he gets instantly exploded by the barrels, by the Hemoplague, by the Cataclysm. Just so much AoE coming down simultaneously, they could not stand up to it, and they give up 2 inhibitors because of this team fight. You cannot face check into a Baron when a dragon when Space Age Wizards knows you're on the way. They know exactly what path you're coming from. The minion wave was in the middle lane. They saw them run down. They had the deep wards. They knew they were coming from that general direction. All they had to do was sit patiently and wait.
Thunder, it might be September, but that was 4th of July level fireworks in that last team fight. Explosive from both ends, but it's the Wizards that come out on top, and they don't just come out on top, they come out on top with 2 of their biggest damage dealers left alive, so much so that they're able to safely push those 2 inhibitors, take them down, and create immense amounts of map pressure. And what's that? That's Baron. And he's knocking at the door in just 1 minute. This is going to be very, very difficult for Team 7.
And when Galzerin saw them walking up, he was like, hey guys, knock knock. And they're like, who's there? And he's like, Cataclysm!
It was definitely some Demacian justice being dropped there in the middle of that fight. A huge mess of every ability being cast at once, and it ends up in the favor of the Space Age Wizards. Kurosekai now at 10-3. Only one item left to complete on this guy. He is a monster. And they're going to have to be very, very careful, this Team 7 squad, in how they deal with him. Gangplank trying to find that barrel damage onto Jace, but he's not going to be able to connect. SW lands that Shock Blast, just has to walk away with one.
Both top laners in the bottom lane trying to clear back or push these waves. They do have teleports.
Fight breaks out here into the jungle of the blue team. It's Jarvan taking a lot of damage, but that's not the target you want to initiate on. The Glacial Fissure will be used. Vlad versus Echo into the bot lane. They both have a lot of items now. It's going to be about who plays it better, but the barrel chunks Tristana from half. Zhao is not happy about that. He's not concerned about what's inside those barrels because it's just a bucket of pain. The Righteous Glory being popped. The Gangplank ultimate is down. Alistar wants this engage. The Flag and Drag is there. The Smite is there. Jarvan flashes forward, but he gets disengaged. The Buster Shot, making sure that Team 7 walks away okay from this one. The gold is 500 apart, Thunder.
This is so close. With key ultimates like Buster Shot down, Team 7 is going to have to be extremely careful how they approach this next fight. Glacial Fissure is down as well. They do not have the zone control and the defensive capabilities they'd want to. Luckily, they did chunk Space Age Wizards' jungler down, so they can't instantly go into the Baron and start pressuring it, but Team 7 does have to worry about 2 waves of supers. In the top lane, there's a massive minion crowd ready to take that turret. Space Age Wizards has the control for the next 30-45 seconds or so. Let's see if they can turn it into Baron.
Both of these top laners also have their teleports available for this fight, but something very important to note is that if one of them is actually there and the other has to teleport in, they're both so much better if they're there at the beginning of the fight. Emo Plague's going to amplify everyone's damage, and Parallel Convergence is not a spell you can cast after everything starts. You have to cast it beforehand. The Baron is going to go over to the Space Age Wizards. They grab that one for free. Team 7 cannot respond in time, and with 2 inhibitors down and a Baron up team, this might be the Wizards' chance to cripple the final remaining leg of this Team 7 base.
Team 7 has 2 waves of the supers. I know I'm just like a broken record beating the dead horse here, but that's why you take Baron in the top lane. You put pressure all across the map. They only have 0 teleports left because Zorak had to tele in late. They didn't even contest the Baron. They didn't even get a fight after it, so they don't have any way to quickly initiate on the enemy team. Team 7 is not looking too strong, however they do have the wave clear.
Dropped, and Echo takes so much damage. The zone is there. He's going to have to chrono break immediately. Gangplank looking for the barrel. He's not going to be able to find it in time. That chrono break is huge, but Sirius Empress gets dethroned. It's Zorak who's also going to die. It's a 2 for 0. It's a 3 for 0. It's a double kill onto Kurosekai. Jace's GA has been popped. Tristana, the only one left. Zhao, the last man standing. It's a 1 for 4. It's Space Age Wizards. They're casting a spell, and it spells VICTORY.
Oh my god, I don't even know where to start with that team fight. Zorak misstepped. When you've got supers and a Baron empowered team in your base, you cannot afford to have a positional error. This is going to translate into the win for Space Age Wizards. They've got the super Baroned up minions pressing on the Nexus. It's only a matter of seconds until they achieve victory.
GG, well played. The Space Age Wizards take down Team 7 in a 43-minute bloodbath. One of the closest games I've seen in a hot minute, back and forth the whole time. A wonderful comeback coming out especially from Zorak. But in the end, Kurosekai, 12-3-7 on this vein, showing you exactly the hype behind a hyper carry.
That was just spectacular positioning. He rarely ever got caught out or ate any shock blast from SW. Nullifying the poke champion with good positioning is a great way to counter it. They got the solid team fights and the engages, and they got the objectives afterwards.
All right, everybody.
Stick with